Cheers, everybody, and welcome to the Late Sesh. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. Had a day of recovery and rest.
I was gonna say, everybody caught up on sleep yet? Because I didn't think I was.
Nope.
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Nope.
Maybe
I feel
it's
pretty
the
good, but I know I'm sleeping good at night.
Yeah.
RSO or what?
No, I just know that I'll be catching up on sleep because I slept pretty good last night. I think I'm gonna sleep
I
even
gotcha.
better. I feel tired already. It's fucking 10 o'clock. What the hell?
So we're all actually here, all coming off of the 2024 Gems and Genetics event. It was held at Sarnes Resort here in Michigan, outside of Morley, Michigan. It was a 3-day, well, really a 2-day, although some of us were there for like 4 days, a 2-day camping and live music and arts and crafts and cannabis festival, if you will. Included bands like High Rider and Mendo Dope. There was a laser light show. Lots of genetics, lots of live glass blowing, a community bonfire, community sesh tent, an incredible amount of food vendors, and an all-around pretty solid event, minus maybe the rain that we experienced for a good portion of Saturday. A little bit chillier of an event overall.
Yeah.
But I don't want to recap it too much. What I do want to start with, though, because I want everyone to recap it. It's not that I don't want to personally recap it too much right off the bat. I do want to hear, though, Spartan's perspective, because Spartan and Baked came as Trichome Forge, and they had a little bit of a unique perspective, being that it was your first event. How'd you guys, how'd it go? How'd you feel?
Felt good about it, and basically gave us the plug that, like, yeah, we want to continue doing that thing and look into other
Nice.
options. But yeah, we had a good time. We came ill prepared, that for sure. I'm so glad we got a Airbnb because I was wearing shorts the first day, and we stopped on the way to get baked a sweatshirt at Walmart because I was wearing a sweatshirt, but he didn't even think to bring a sweatshirt. And then the second day was colder with the rain, so but I had some long pants too for the second day, so I was straight then.
I will say, good thing you guys had walls on your tent, because I went probably a couple of years at least without getting any walls on my tents, or just like, renting tents from the promotional or the promoter, and not having walls to block that wind really is awful.
Yeah, those walls were key, even more so with the rain. We stayed dry,
Yeah.
so that was cool. It was really cool, and we didn't have a whole lot to our booth. We were pretty, not a lot set up, so we were able to pull the table back and gave room for people to step inside and get dry themselves. So that was kind of cool.
That's
Well,
the trick is to allow for people to come inside and hang out with you
Mhm.
when it's raining or in sun too. To some shade. Oh, okay. Ruben's
We did the same thing. Once it started raining, we pulled our tables back. I personally, I like having the tables out in front of the tent. You know what I mean? It kind of just has a little bit better presence and appeal, in my opinion. But at the same time, there's a couple issues with that. One is the fact that whatever's on your counter or table was potentially then sitting in the sunshine, depending on what point of the day it is. Really, for us, because of our positioning, it was just later in the day that would happen. In which you probably saw a photo where I took my half wall and put it at the top, so it's now a top half wall, just for some shade, not only for the product but for us as well. But yeah, we eventually pulled it back in because it started raining, and you can't really just leave the counters out in the rain. But at the same time, like Red just said, like, it's good to invite them in. You know what I mean? Get them out of the rain. It's like the tent's not really there just for you to get out of the rain. You know what I mean? You don't want to be so selfish about it. Jeez. But no, yeah, you had a nice clean setup. You had a fantastic lineup of rosin. It was really quite the spectrum you guys had. It was really cool to see. And then also the seeds, which of course meant to bring them so I could have them live on the show. But I was fortunate enough to get gifted a whole hat trick of seeds from Spartan himself that he bred. Do you want to tell us about those 3? Because I have a picture. I took a picture so I wouldn't forget. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, this would be the first time I ever invented seeds, and it was kind of a last minute decision. I was surprised how many I did sell. But I had Project V there, which is just essentially a Vortex F2. And then I had the cross to Donny Burger, so Vortex to Donny Burger, and that was Spartan Puke. And then I had Orange Vortex, which is Orange Dream Haze cross to Vortex. And I picked those 3 because they're the 3 most different from each other. They're like,
That's a great way of doing it. And I already have a personal preference for that last one just because it's orange haze. I mean, how could I not,
it's very and that orange really does come through in a lot of I haven't popped a ton of those seeds, but everyone that I have popped has been very orangey, and I'm getting early reports from testers and from other people that have grown it to say it's pretty much the same thing. I've yet to honestly hear anybody say what they've grown one that wasn't orangey. So
Is it like a, with the vortex and stuff in there, is it getting like a funky orange, rotten orange, or like, is it like a real citrusy orange? What kind of orange?
Citrusy orange. It's like
really
citrusy orange. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like jelly bean, like jelly bean orange.
That's pretty close to clementine, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's like that. But it's got a little bit of the vortex influence too. It's that one's the fastest growing of the 3. That one is pretty aggressive.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about them, and I appreciate that, man. I also, thank you and shout out to Baked, of course, too. It was great to see him and spend a little time with him and get to chat and see him do his thing too. There you go. So Papa Burger Select. Select means it's the primo.
It's so
yeah, we're popping packs of seeds, so we'll take our selected phenos. It might be 2, and we'll put them in the select. And then if you see HP, that means house blend, which means is the ones that we didn't select. All those phenos go together, but don't let that make you think that that's worse in some way or not, because sometimes that HP in that concentrate is, because it's so many different phenos, it's kind of like a fuller blend, and it can hit you way better.
I mean, I'll say it. And I told you, face to face, I thought the one, I don't know if it's Papa Burger, but one of them I thought was actually louder than the Select. But it makes sense. You know what I mean? If you're taking a handful of potentially a different variety of profiles, even, let alone phenos, you know what I mean? You might actually, just have an overall generally louder profile, but that doesn't maybe that's not what you're looking for. Maybe you're looking for a specific flavor or something like that, because otherwise we could just smash a whole pheno hunt together every time.
Yep, exactly. I wanted to shout out real quick Big Jar, just so I can pop up in chat. He brought some Vortex, so he got some seeds, some Project V seeds for me, and he grew them out, and he had a couple different phenos, and we were able to sample them right there. That was super cool for them, for someone to bring you flower from your seed to try. It was good shit. And I offered to him, I said, hey, let me get you some seeds. I said, I know I've already gave you Project V, but I got these other 2. He goes, actually, I'd really have some more of those Project V seeds. I liked them so much. So
nice.
he left with more of those. I was happy to give it to him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, shout out Big Jar. You get to come up and enjoy some of the brisket and get some shelter from the rain while he was there. It was kind of unfortunate timing, but it is what it is. I'm just happy he got to make it out with some of his family. I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't.
Brisket. That was some good ass shit too. Oh my god, dude.
Thanks. So maybe I'll have to find a way to compile some photos or something. I know Tara's got a good what's the word? I don't know, Instagram post with like a handful of photos on there we could probably share. But yeah, I mean, speaking of Tara, she's not here. Maybe I'll wait. But I want to thank Red and Becca too. I mean, we were all neighbors. It was pretty cool. We got to Red had a great idea to essentially select a corner to kind of all pile into, and we were fortunate enough to all get basically 4 booths next to each other, and we kind of had this corner all to ourselves, which allowed us a little bit more room in one way or another. But also, it was cool to just kind of like be next to each other and be able to hang out and communicate and cook together, eat together.
It's cool to have an MBGS corner.
Yeah, you know, it's I hate to use the word. I'm not going to use the word. I want to use the word so bad. Red, what's the proper terminology we came up with?
Compound, I hope.
Compound. Yeah. That was the word. That's the better word than what I kept saying all weekend. So we had the MBGS compound. That was
I'm
kinda
comfortable
cool.
with that.
Okay, cool.
Community, covenant.
No. That sounds too religious.
The
Culty, at
I
least.
want to tag back about the Big Jar experience because shout out to him. He's always coming through to the events, and he brought the Chillum this week. The Chillum. I'm trying to think of who makes those. Guy in Spain, people in Spain. I'm not sure if it's a guy. Actually.
Rascal Farmer has one. He promoted them on our show. It's not
um,
Noah. What the heck's his name? Why did I come up with Noah?
Something Chillum. Something Chillums. Anyways, he had some Rascal Farmer hash, and I hit that shit, and my eyes were forcefully closed immediately. Not like I had something in my eye and they were burning, but like the muscles in my eyes would not allow me to actually physically open them. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't actually open my eyes. And I was like, it was kind of after a coughing fit, just a mild one. But I don't think the coughing fit had anything to do with the I don't know, coma, whatever was going on in the there. Oh yeah, no, he's not lying. He put me down. He goes, did I get red? And yeah. That Chillum is no joke, man. I took a couple big rips though. It was very good. So shout out to who made the Chillum.
He said
Jonas Chillum.
Yeah, he said Madame Chillum, but then Weezen said Jonas, and this is how my brain works. We talked covenant, I said religious, then I said Noah, and then I thought Jonas. Here we are. Back to Chillums. Wow, that was a wild ride over here. Yeah, I got to experience that tool too. That was really cool. I think did he have Vortex in it and Vortex Hash or something like that? It was like he was double dipping on us.
It was triple Gouda or something like that. Oh, Big Jar is a Madam Chillum. Okay, not a Jonas Chillum.
But quite the experience nonetheless. It was really cool. And but yeah, I gotta get through the shout outs. Red and Becca, you guys are massively supported us, just watching things while we're gone, feeding us several times, and just generally helping out, man. I can't thank you guys enough. Couldn't ask for better neighbors. And of course Tara, who was there to help too. Always, being done mother of the MVGS, and certainly held that standard this weekend as well. Blue Kiss, who I think is in chat right now, she was there to hang out all weekend. I'm sure I'm going to forget, plenty, but of course, Dan, Michigan Jumps and Genetics, several other vendors, man. We had a lot of other vendors that weren't necessarily near us that were helping us out. I wanted to make some espresso, a little latte one day, and didn't have any milk, which I kept freezing because all I was using was dry ice. But I ran out of milk, and so I'm like, there's got to be a food truck, right, with some milk. And I ran over and asked a couple. No one had milk. I finally found one and she's like, yeah, we got milk. So she yelled over to like her husband or whoever was running their other booth and told him to go get the milk out of the RV. And so he ran over to the RV, and then someone else came out with the milk and ran the milk over. She's like, I got tons of milk. I love milk. We drink milk all the time. I got so much milk. Is whole milk okay? Or, I'm like, I would just like some milk, or maybe like 2 cups. That'd be great. I can pay you, whatever you need.
She
She's
came
like,
back with more than 2 cups.
Well, and that's the thing. They didn't have any cups. So I had to go find some cups, right? So then I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go hit up another vendor. So I walk over to Mimi's Cuban, who's like always at these events, has been supporting these events for a long time, the last couple of years. I asked them, I'm like, hey, listen, I just need like 2 cups, plastic, styrofoam, whatever. I'll pay you. And she just turns the corner with 2 solo cups. She's like, don't worry about it. Just take them. I'm like, sweet. So I go back to the other vendor, and she pours up 2 16-ounce cups of solo cups full of milk, and I just carted them back to the booth and made myself some coffee with wifey and I. And I mean, it took like 4 vendors, but we got 2 cups of milk, and it was fully free, like just mad support from everyone else. It was really cool to see. And that's like that community aspect that I kind of miss sometimes in our with these events, but it definitely was there this weekend. Goodness, who else? I mean, it's sweet to see Mendo Dope. Shout out to them.
Denial and Error came through. They hung out for a while. It was cool to see them. He brought me some Spartan Puke flour too, so that was awesome.
Nice. I love that, dude.
Me too, man.
Those are great dudes. Denial and Error came through last year as well, and that's where I got that 3-hole hash pipe gifted. And those guys are always a big hit. They're hanging around all weekend, and
of course,
long trip. Sue, dude, Sue, who's Sue?
Shout out to Sue, man.
Fucking
Sue,
in Wisconsin.
spoiled us.
Hey, gifted us some cheese.
She did. She brought some bomb ass cheese
And then
Brought me a pecan pie.
and the pecan pie.
Yeah, she's awesome.
brought me an obsidian.
Ooh, an obsidian, nice.
It's beautiful.
Huge one.
And on brand, I might add, a red and black rock. How
Oh, nice.
cool is that? How cool. Thank you so much. No, and like Fagurley said, it takes the community. There was like what the number I heard was 80. I didn't actually count. There was twice as many, 3 times as many vendors.
Dan told me
Oh,
that there was about 60 last year and 80 this year.
Okay.
Definitely expanded. The square got bigger. I got some overhead shots. Hopefully I'll get to.
There seemed like a lot
Sure.
more than additional 20 pop-ups for the size of that fucking space that got extended. Holy cow.
Yeah, and they had vendors in the middle and everything too. But I'm not done yet. I got one more shout out. I have to absolutely shout out Mazupat, Mrs. Ferroli, aka my wifey, because I mean we came loaded with like stuff, not like inventory, but like stuff this weekend. And there would have been no way I could have managed all of that. And on top of vending and everything else without her. So she's certainly made a rock, you know what I mean? And she's been my biggest supporter and couldn't have done it without her. It was pretty incredible, man. It's like I very rarely get to like walk around, leave the booth at all, like when I'm vending an event alone, of course. But she allows that to happen and me to be able to network a little bit and hang out and go see what else is out at the other booths. And then you guys also allowed us to do that together, you know what I mean? Like Tara holding it down while we weren't there, or Red and Becca watching the booth, so
And shout out to other vendors.
Pot.
We all tried to work together to help everybody. So I know when people come through the booth for Red Center and Rosemary's Oasis, people come asking for, hash or this or that or something we didn't have, and we'd be like, we've got Fergoli over here, we've got Tricone Fork.
That was so
here.
we kept sending so many people over to Red for
It was
people who kept asking for bubble hash. We're like, you gotta
We're
talk to Red.
working together to help everybody. It was it was really nice to see all that.
We had one guy walk up and he's like, oh, you got 2-gram jars. He's like, that's interesting. He's like, do you know anywhere I can get some 1-gram jars? I was like, oh yeah, my buddy right over there. He's got a whole lineup of 1-gram jars. He just starts smiling. He goes, so you guys promote each other, huh? I'm like, oh, you came from there already. Huh? I see what you mean. I'm like, yeah, man, it's a community, like we're here to help each other out.
Yep. It was cool. It was an awesome event. Shout out to Dan. He puts on a great event. He treated me like a king, man. It was real easy doing the talk. It's always cool doing those and meeting all the other like people in the activism. There's a lot of the activism. A lot of people from the Weedsters. Michael File was another speaker. It was cool to see that part of it too. I sat in the I don't know. I guess you'd call it the green room, the little spot right before the stage where you could go out before you talk. Sitting there just shooting the shit with one half of Mendo Dope. And we were talking. We were just talking weed. I was telling him how I was searching for pineapple terps, and he said that they popped a bunch from Humboldt Seed Company, a bunch of blueberry muffin for outdoor, and out of all of them, they were all blueberry, but one of them, all but one of them was, he said, straight dead pineapple. So much so that he got a hold of them to see if there was any chance it got mixed up with something else.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but But he said that when they're ready to grow it out and get cuts, he said, just let me know, I'll get you a cut. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take the cut. So that was cool. He got my name down in his phone. So hopefully he hits me up because I'll be definitely interested.
Well, did anybody see anything they really liked, or get any food they really liked, or find any like
I thought it was just
edibles?
cool that the other vendors are willing to do trades and stuff, especially the shout out to the glass blowers, man. I got a new pendant and they were willing just to trade with product. They came around and actually were looking at our product and then asked us if we were willing to do trades. I'm like, yeah, let's go to yours, see what you got.
Dude, speaking of community, that small community of glass blowers, all in the same tent, that was really cool to see and hear about their experiences. Not necessarily, they were like staying up till 3 a.m., like blowing glass together, collabing, making artwork. Like they showed up to work, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they did. They were blowing glass, collabing like the whole weekend long. And I don't know, man, it's just like a whole different world I'm not really all too familiar with. But it was really cool to see them doing their thing. 248 Glass is there. He's always at Third Eyes.
Yeah, it was super cool. And it was when it was chilly out, you go in there and you warm up because they got their torches going.
The weather had it up and down, man. Friday was like the sun would poke out and it would be 90 degrees, and a cloud would cover the sun and it would be 40 degrees. Like the actual air temperature of the day was like 40, but the sun was just ripping through that. And then it was mostly cloudy, which was kind of chilly, but I wasn't prepared for that. I'm used to this southern Michigan weather where it's 90 degrees all year round. It's like we're zone 10 most of the year. And then we get this like patch of winter that comes through. Up north is like the total opposite. It's like mostly winter.
Chilly nights.
Yeah, we love camping. Ruben got his first camping experience with us, and we brought him his own tent, tossed his crate in the tent, and he was a good boy and loved all of his friends who came through. And he had a good view of Spartan and Baked. He had because they didn't have the back wall on, so he got to sit there and bark at them and get and he
every minute.
Like, hey, get over here and pet me. So then
exactly
go over there and pet him. And yeah,
he had lots of love, that's for sure.
Yeah, he didn't have his dog in training vest on, so he got all the love he could handle.
Handled not getting love very well.
He got his first Grateful Dead experience. I got to go run him up to the stage during the High Rider show. It was very cool. We can get into more of that in a minute, but the community aspect, all the tents popped around. I mean, you're talking a lot of artists, we saw other people with house plants, we saw other people with vegetable plants, we saw just everybody, like Fagroli said, that one couple who had 2 booths, they had their whatever, I think it was a cannabis business and stuff, and then they had a food tent. Becca and I are doing 2 tents, and we brought Rosemary's Oasis. Whoop, that's a slap. Guess when those showed up? While we were at Gems and
I was gonna say today, because I didn't get one. What the hell, guys?
Yeah, they were on our porch waiting for us.
Yeah.
I think I got the first slap, by the way.
Our hair oil, botanical hair oil coming at you, right? So we're hoping this weekend they'll be at the farmers market and at Divine Pine Gathering in July, late July. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine. His band, he's going to be in a band playing at Divine Pine Gathering. So that's in Brooklyn, Michigan, and check that out. It's going to be a whole eco-friendly fest, family-oriented eco-friendly fest, not necessarily a cannabis event. The other parts of the you got lots of vendors. Okay, so let's say that there is 80 some vendors. So we'll say a few of those vendors are multiple. Like we had 2 tents, those guys had 2 tents. Maybe there's a couple more people who had 2 tents. Nonetheless, people are diversifying in the community, right? They're still showing it might be a bear market, but we're finding a way to survive in a bear market. You know what I mean? And I think it's a great thing that everyone's persevering through this, and to see so many pop-ups out there. Like Country Roots was there, Tommy Trichomes was there, Everyday Mary J. They were popped up right next to us. They're adding inventory. Everyday Mary J has so much more inventory than what they started.
I've got to shout those girls out real quick. So Cass has really stepped up her game. Her sweaters were so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I wanted one so bad. And every time I'd go over there, another one would be sold. Even like the day, I mean, they were packing up and another vendor came over and bought her one of her very last sweaters. She only was left with 2. So great job, girls. They really did a good job this weekend.
They had really deep inventory. It was impressive. You know what I mean? Like it was a whole storefront. Like
we definitely made
put a
some
lot of
trades
work in.
ourselves. They traded flour with me for some art pieces, and so I was very lucky to get some cool pieces that I would have not been able to get anywhere else because they're pretty unique.
Spartan, that's one of the things I love that you got to experience, because as a vendor, I mean, that is a huge part of the experience most of the time. It was more so back in the day, and is certainly a little bit more so in the like this style event, so, you know, the festival type event. But the bartering and trading between vendors is one of my favorite things, because I always come home with a bag of goodies, you know, after trading with vendors. And you know, it's like you're a kid in a candy shop, and it's not just candy, it's art, it's seeds and clones, it's house plants, it's sweaters, you know what I mean? It's just a little of everything. Whatever you brought to the table, now you get to, you know, trade your goods for something else you might be interested in. I did have one guy come to the booth look at a trade, and he's like, yeah, man, I showed up with a, you know, pack of matches or whatever it was. He's like, and now I've got, you know, 2 things of seeds and a jar of rosin. He's like, you know, I'm just trading up to see what I can get to. I go, well, I know someone that has is a seed collector and is about 2 booths down from me that would love to see those genetics. I sent him a page.
Yep, for sure.
He stopped by ours too. He didn't have the rosin yet though, so somebody must have traded up.
I didn't give it to him, I swear.
We saw so many people, man. I know I'm missing people, but I was happy to talk to everybody. Some people just came to stop by. Like we had one guy came just stop by and chilled with us for like an hour. Talked to us about how he was a truck driver and all this and like his whole life story. And then they were just waiting for the rain to go away. And then, we had those bags of chips. We give him a bag of chips. That's what it was. He was finishing eating the chips before he left. He sat there and ate those chips literally for like an hour.
What about the one guy that was worked in adhesives? Do you remember him?
The guy who worked in adhesives.
I heard some guy talking about like lasers and thermal imaging and stuff, and I'm like, he's talking about drones.
He's our 3rd-year regular.
I'm like, he's talking about drones or something. You know what I mean? I'm like, I gotta talk to this dude. And I stand up and go over there, and he's over in front of Spartan's booth, I think, and he was, you know, not too much of an older gentleman, but he's an older guy, and you can tell the way he's talking, he's like an engineer or something like that. And then he starts talking about like glass and adhesives, and I'm like, what do you do, dude? He's like, travels all over the country. His boss wants him to get his passport so he can travel all over the world. I'm like, you better get a raise, you know. It wasn't drones at all. It was like the guy works in like adhesives, but yeah, just like a regular everyday guy, you know what I mean? That
well, what's weird is he works in adhesives, but he gave me a charging port because his company also makes charging ports. So
it sounds like they're involved in a lot of things, whatever he's up to. I'm like, so you work with like what, like 3M and DuPont? He's like, no, we kind of like have our own formulas. I'm like, all right, dude, this is so far above my head.
He was with his mom too, and buying her and all the little like gifts she wanted. They got like 2 or 3 tapestries from us.
So SARS Resort's like a I don't want to call it like a retirement home, but a lot of retired people like live up there in the summertime and they party. They're old, like, you know, it's the old Michigan Lake House deal.
It's the Michigan way of life, though. That's what I've come to find out. That's what they do.
And his mom came through and was like, yeah, I got my old tapestry still from the 60s sitting around somewhere. And she's, you know, fingering through our selection. And he's gotten pre-rolls from, you know, he's supported us 3 years in a row. interesting because, you know, we have our regulars at the Third Eye Craft Fair and regulars that come to see us at certain events, but this event specifically in Morley and in Gems and Genetics, because you get all the regulars from specifically Sarnes Resort that don't go to cannabis events. They're not the type of people that bounce around the state or the country going to heady events or anything like that. They're just there on season, and this big festival shows up to their home, you know, so they show up. And so they're seasonal regulars, and it's super fun to see them pop through. And that's one of the reasons I love that event, is to get a chance to see all
They
those.
like bought, like a couple of people came through and would buy a couple times throughout the whole weekend. Would come one day, then they come the next day.
Fun,
It
man.
The
was
golf
really-
carts come out at night.
Cops cruising on. It's a gang of golf carts, man, and they all just coming out. It's fucking
I wanted my own golf cart.
come cruising through. Once dusk settles, you know, and the band's about to come on, the lasers start kicking, they all come cruising. And what's fun is you're sitting there and the golf cart pulls right up to your booth. Boom, 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 boom. Come people waddling out, you know, walk over, look at what you got. Okay, they buy something or they don't. They waddle back to their golf cart, like, you know, like to the next booth, like 4 feet. You know, it's
Some just slow down and, you know, talk, you know, yell at you. Hey, what do you got going on? And they don't even stop. They're just slowing down real slow.
keep driving.
It was fun though. It was really fun. It was definitely a great experience.
I found a lot in vending is that there'll be people who want to talk your ear off for a long time. Like, it's super common. It happens every event.
Mhm.
And they just want someone to talk to. And I don't know. I guess that's a cool place to do it. Maybe they don't have anyone else to.
Hey, I'd like to say I learned a lot about adhesives, but you know, it was an interesting conversation nonetheless.
On our end, it's usually like it could be like we're stressed out because there's other people and that kind of stuff. So I'm sure we seem probably not as interested, but it's cool to like be a part of somebody's like.
No, I don't think you guys came across. I don't think you guys come across that way at all. I really felt like just as me on the outside watching you guys, you don't do that.
I mean, Red has a lot of patience. I've seen it in action. He has a lot of patience for those types of conversations.
100%.
Just he'll get into it and then it'll compound. Like all of a sudden he's talking about the history of some specific. The guy's like, "Oh, actually, I got." So
Becca's
random.
like tapping me to like shut up because
I'll be like,
she's
"Stop."
thinking I'm talking too much, but then the other person will be like into it and keep talking. I'm like, conversate, you know what I mean? I know how to over conversate too, but you know, at the same time, like let's roll. Like
Sometimes you go on and like there's a hard. It's hard to tell.
I'm a DJ. I know how to like read the crowd. You know, you gotta read the future and the past. You gotta see who's coming from about 50 feet away, who's might be like, you know, there's a lull in the situation. You gotta get your time frame going right. You gotta have the time pass by effectively, so utilize it wisely. Sometimes a conversation is the way to get through that time.
Yeah, and like Organically Blunt said, you like to like put tidbits of knowledge in like everything you're saying. It's like you've like thought out these conversations before.
No,
Absolutely true, though. You do learn something every time. I mean, for real. I'm thankful for it.
it's mostly just regurgitated information. Nothing comes to me through the ether. It's
That's okay. Gotta
regurgitation.
come from somewhere.
Anybody have any knowledge on the Oreo strain? I haven't grown it. But Pat G in chat is asking, I love the Oreos hybrid I have. It's a gem. Any Michigan info on the Oreo strain?
I know I like it.
I don't think I've ever smoked or I've never grown Oreos. That's for sure. I've
No,
never seen the raw
think,
Oreos. Somebody's passed it.
it's a good one. I've had it. I've smoked it. It's good. It's tasty. It's been a while.
I ran it very recently for someone. It was a combination of strains, so I,
There you go.
you know, can't give you too much info on it, but
Yeah, I don't know much about it though.
this has almost got like a peanut butter, not like a strong peanut butter, but like that type of creamy peanut butter smell to it. I don't know what the Marty's is. I forget, and I don't have my reference on hand, but there's definitely Oreos in that. It's about all the experience I got.
We've got a fair share of shout outs to give. Mostly everybody that you guys already shout outed. End of shout outs. No, we have many more. Obviously the promoters and everybody like that. There was specifically one of the artists that came through. I'm not going to put his name on blast, but we'll just say one of the artists came through and was talking about having a epileptic seizure the night before, and was having a hard time, and kind of a little shaky that morning, and we're just kind of talking. Well, I gave him some CBD and CBG tincture, and I gave him some RSO. He said he tries dabs. Dabs help.
We dabbed him out.
Dabbed him out, and I gave him those couple items to try, and he kind of broke down, and he was like, "Dude, I've never been around so many kind people who've been willing to like help." He's like, "What the hell's going on?" You know what I mean? He's like, he's like, "I don't get it." He's like, "I've never experienced people willing to like help," and I'm like, "Dude, welcome to like the community." And he was like crying. He was, I gave him a big hug, and we talked for a minute, and he came back later, and he was like, "Dude, that tincture, the CBG, whatever the tincture, and had whatever it was going." He's like, "I was on the torch all day, and he came by and he showed me the stuff he made. He made like a dozen pendants or something, dude. He made like a ton of maybe 4 or 5 pendants.
We got 2 of them.
Yeah. See, and
that marble, that was cool.
Yeah, and a marble. I think that was from a different artist, but he was doing the trade for him.
Yeah, and he was just like super cool, and I really want to get him in our store. I want to try to find a way to get some of his. I was kind of talking to him about bulk pricing and stuff, and try to get some of his artwork on our shelf. We debuted Rosemary's Oasis this weekend. We've had Rosemary's Oasis as a idea and a brand and something like that popping around at Third Eye Craft Fair a little bit, and the Red Setter Farm table's been holding all the art and all the gallery and all the other stuff that we kind of want for our storefront, and we were finally able to expand a little bit with this event and kind of put a little bit of funds into a second space for marketing the Rosemary's Oasis inventory and getting a chance to display Anything Grows, Emily's artwork, and shout out to Kai Bear Studios for hooking us up in such short notice on a banner for that, and a couple one for the canopy as well. Huge shout out to Tara. Tara drove out with us. Tara jumped in the gypsy wagon, man, and she
I've seen no one.
She got dropped off the night before, so she was on herself a decent 4 or 5 day retreat with us, and she had to put up with me, and Fergoli said that he not only brought a lot of vending things, but a lot of stuff, and we brought a lot of stuff to the point to where it took me 6 hours to pack both ways, there and back. So she really hung in there and was a huge trooper and really a huge help. We needed her helping with Ruben and helping us set up and get some stuff done and help with everything, man. And Tara, thank you very much. You're a huge help. I know you were there to hang out and really just kick it. I hope you got a chance to have a good time.
And I was happy to help. You guys know I'm always happy to help any of you guys. I love it.
You really
Huge
are
help.
the MBGS, mother. Hang around, and
She's the den mother.
and really, Ruben loves you a ton. And
Oh, I love Ruben.
He's
Oh my gosh, I've never seen a dog whine for someone so much that wasn't their owner. Like she'd go around the corner and be like, "Oh, oh, come back, please, Tara."
Blue Kiss Gardens, and we have to give a huge shout out to Blue Kiss Gardens.
Yes.
Our local Ann Miller. What the fuck kind of bread is it? Little Annie. What the fuck?
Annie.
I don't know. Aunt Millie's Bread Bakery. Ours is like closed for whatever reason, and so she has
I work at Aunt Millie's. That's funny.
Nice. She has one and was able to hook us up with a bunch of bread because
We have help about right.
late night grilled cheese.
So tasty.
Becca was the chef on that one, and Blue Kiss came through with hooking us up with some bread, and you know, we needed ice here and there, and so she was back and forth to and from going home and coming back to the event, and so she was hooking us up.
She
so
brought us
big shout out to
lemons and water.
And Ruben can't get enough of her because every time Ruben would bark, she'd go, okay. As soon as she would show up, Ruben would be barking and barking and barking. I go, Blue Kiss, you have to say hi to Ruben. He's going to keep barking. Ruben will do that. If you don't come say hi to him, he's just going to bark at you. He was doing that with Baked all weekend. Another shout out with Mike O'File. He came over, and you know he's part of the Decrim Nature, and so he does a lot of the activism on these
a lot of harm reduction too.
Plant entheogens and harm reduction. He's part of Michigan Dance Safe, which has harm reduction, which is very similar to Bunk Police. They offer drug kits, testing products, things like that. And he came through and he was looking for more scorpion peppers. We had given him apocalypse. He'd gotten an apocalypse scorpion pepper from us last year. And he told us this story about how his maybe his roommate, somebody that he knew, a good buddy of his, was like basically microdosing the scorpion peppers, taking tiny little nibbles, because he noticed that he ate a bit of the scorpion pepper one day, and his congestion. I have really bad congestion. Those of us this time of year, you know, the pollen's around and all the pines and everything are dropping their pollen. It's really bad congestion season right now, and I'm a smoker. And so I feel for this person, and I know what it's like to wake up in the morning and just like blow brown into their tissue all morning. And so this person's experience after like microdosing what I'm assuming is the capsaicin from the pepper or something within the pepper was clearing up his airways, relieving his mucus, and giving him the ability to breathe. And he said that he hasn't had relief like that in like 7 years. So, you know, in the name of like natural medicine or holistic wellness or plant medicine, whatever it is, you know, seeing that peppers also have not just the ability to like boost metabolism and are healthy for diet, but they do have a medicinal property if they're clearing airways and acting as a bronchial dilator is my guess, that there's some sort of dilation happening in there. And so, you know, really cool to see the wellness in everything. And I put a little bit on my Instagram post, and I'm just going to reiterate because I see it all the time when people will come and pet Ruben, the effects that a animal has on people. Smiling, they giggle, they laugh, they, you know, love getting just mopped in the face by his tongue. You know what I mean? As weird as that sounds, like I like it, you know what I mean? But like some people love it, you know what I mean? Watch it happen. It's like people are getting healing, you know, from whatever it is, you know, people heal in all kinds of different ways, whether it's, most of us think of healing as physical, but there's a lot of healing that comes mentally through a lot of stuff. And seeing the dog do that, you know, is definitely part of wellness. Seeing that somebody was able to heal from pepper, you know, the wellness of that, and then obviously all of the wellness, all of the testimonies that we get from cannabis, you know, the artist who was able to work after consuming, you know, whatever's. It was the dabs, it was the tincture, it was the oil, it was a little bit of everybody's love and positivity that did it. And certainly a bit of that love and positivity went a long way with his day. I'm sure that hug had a big effect on it. I'm sure his conversation with everybody else after leaving probably added to it. And then the community aspect as well. And I could just keep going down the rabbit hole of wellness, and just how effective things are. But to be on the side that sees it directly happening is the humbling aspect of what keeps us rocking and rolling and persevering through that. And I understand why there's so many people that continue to persevere regardless of a bear market, regardless of over inflation of, you know, cost of goods, cost of consumables, everything like that. People are still showing out. And I guess we also have to remember that everybody's doing it for different reasons. And a lot of these people are family farms, and it's cool to see the family farms getting out there, putting in the effort, because it did rain all day. And it's a lot of work, and you know, they're going to go home. Some of them are going to go home more empty-handed than others. And
I had a lot of hope though, standing in the middle of that giant square of booths, and then there's booths in the middle too.
Yeah,
I was just picturing this on a nice 70 degrees day, like next year. You know what I mean? It's giving me hope for the next year and stuff. When I saw it, like, this is fucking huge. This is like the dream. This is a weed farmers market that everybody has always wanted to exist.
Yep. Because there's some people that are kind of packing up and saying that, you know, it's a bad day. And I don't mean like at the event, because that did happen too. There's a bad day, it's rain, people do pack up early, and they you know, it's not worth their time, and I understand that. A lot of people have packed up, literally speaking, their grows and stuff like that in the last couple of years, because of the state of the industry and because it's a bear market right now, and it's just not the way it was. But those that have stuck through and are sticking through, I think that there is a very bright future ahead. And that is, you know, you have to persevere, you have to diversify, you have to
buy the dip.
You have to live below your means, in a sense, in many ways, you know, and just keep persevering through, because in the end, it's all those testimonies. It's for us. I'm happy to live below my means if it means that somebody, how many times can I say means in a sentence? If it you know, ensures that people are receiving their share of wellness that doesn't involve having to be manipulated or deceived by some larger entity. They can choose whoever they want to get their stuff from, but it's nice to see that some people choose the small business side of things. And for us, we don't need the entire market share. We just need a fraction of the percent. And it's people like everybody that come out to our shows that really help keep us moving. And, you know, like, and the people who just come out to say what's up, and that's supportive enough. And, you know, it's not always fiscal capital, I think is the term. Like for us, social capital is very valuable. Experiential capital is very valuable. Like we are to and through permaculture. We believe in the ideology that many, many things hold value, and it's friendships for us that really hold most of it. Because when you really need something and you're down on something else, there's something there. So, like you said, the trade economy exists. You know, there's a lot of things. So we really enjoy it. We love getting in the gypsy wagon. We love getting out there. We love coming across friends and people that we don't see very often. Good to see you all. Brent Anderson, some of you might be listening. He came through again. It was good to see him as always. And again, Denial and Error. And anybody else I might be missing, you know, like great seeing you. It was a blast of a weekend. We really did have a long weekend, I'd say, but man, it flies the fuck by. It goes by so fast, and I'm almost, you know, sad to be home. I enjoy like having the whole shebang. Our little tent city popped up for the weekend. Is
That was so cool.
I in the summertime I enjoy living out. I'm like Ruben. I'll spend my time outdoor. I've been telling Beck I'm gonna go live a month out in the backyard. You know, I'll just see when I come inside to poop, something like that. You know, maybe I'll get a little.
Come inside to poop.
I'm gonna go
outside for everything else, but he's gonna shit inside.
I'm gonna
No,
spend
if
a
he's
month.
living out there, he's pooping out there too.
At least he's gonna poop inside and not out back.
Dig yourself a hole.
I go dig myself a hole. I got the dog poop.
Ruben will dig your hole for you.
Ruben dig the hole for me. Ruben had himself a little hole. He dug himself a little hole over there. He had a little hole section. So he had we were packing up and he was just crushed. He was crashed so hard. He was sleeping under the truck. He went and laid down under the truck and just crashed out. And
I was asleep in the car, so I don't blame him.
Becca was sleeping in the car. He was sleeping under the car. I'm not kidding. We woke up at about 7:30 in the morning. Fergroli was like mostly packed up or just getting packed up, and they were done and out of there in a couple hours. And we were packing until what time did we get there? Like 2:30, 3 o'clock. We were packing. I mean, that was packing all
probably like
morning.
2:30.
But also things were wet because of the rain, so it was nice to just open everything up and let it all dry out. PSA, if you haven't opened up and aired out your tent yet, you should probably do that. We have not done that yet, so we're going to try to get to that. You don't like stinky tents.
Me and Baked were so glad to have the Airbnb. We were not prepared for the weather.
Oh,
so it was nice to go back and have a shower, you know, have the option for showers and bathrooms and be warm. It was all nice.
We may not have had, well, you know what? We may not have had, I was going to say the shower, but actually there's a bathhouse. None of us used it. None of us used it, of course. We tried to use it the last.
I don't know if I would have used it, though. After we went in there, went to the bathroom, though, leaving, I'm like, I didn't miss anything because there was something crazy going on in that bathroom. I think they were washing dogs in there.
Oh,
like a shower in there. They probably were washing dogs in there.
There was a sign up about washing your dog, so I was like,
"Oh no, man! That's a community billboard. That's like there's a dog washer. There's like a community. That's like this community billboard just in the bathroom because everybody uses the bathroom, you know. So it's
there
like,
you go. Only me getting
like a campground bathroom where you post your business ad. So it's like
I'm like looking around. People's got their loofahs hanging up in there. They got their body wash. There's like a
beach bath
in there for like a handicapped person to sit on. I was like, what is going on?
But there's a shower in there in case you need it. But we definitely didn't do the Airbnb, but shout out to Fergroli for supplying energy because we were able to use the old vacuum sealer and do a couple of odds and ends, have our lights on at night and let our thing go. Charged our portable battery. What is it? Battery charger. We have a little charger that keeps some lights on in the trailer and shit around camp. So thank you for all the food. We had Kings. We really cooked a 20-pound fucking meat.
Oh, 28 pounds.
Oh, the thing was good.
Oh, it was so good.
Crazy. It was 21.47 pounds.
Oh, 21. Okay. It was big.
I want to shout out to Focus V. We sat there with just battery banks and able to charge them up the whole time. So that
that thing you've got is super freaking cool. I'm definitely gonna look into that. I really, really liked that a lot.
Yeah,
it's got the same size chamber as a regular one, so I really liked that. That was cool.
It's just mine's just really small and portable, and so is the other one, but this is just way smaller than the.
It just looked like a vapor, is all, you know.
Yeah.
Like anything, I really liked it. It's very incognito.
So is that one able to hook up to the whole glass rig and shit like the other one did? Didn't the other one have like?
I'm sure there's probably attachments coming. That's the newest thing, so there's not very many options right now. But I'm sure there's probably going to be a bubbler attacher and all that. But I think that's opposite of the point of it. The point of it is for it to be small and compact and portable. And so I don't know. Maybe they won't come up. So. But I really like it. Yeah, and it was cool because we both had our own device and we're just sitting there chilling and we were smoking the fucking samples that we had sitting on the table. We were just smoking out of that.
You guys had a lot to have. It was really nice.
It was basically our first 3 harvests. That's what that was. So
it was awesome.
Part Puke and Donnie Burger and
it was awesome.
Triple Burger and Papa Burger.
Yeah, I like that.
The
I like these Papa. I
Octopi.
like this Papa Burger.
Papa Burger is a pretty funky one.
I like the one, that NFS one too. I
The
really
fish, yeah.
really enjoyed all of them. Smell, taste. I'm just more drawn. You know me. I'm more drawn to this, lineage than
The
the
GMO-y stuff.
yeah. You know me.
Yeah, I really liked your shadow sugar too. I'm saving it. I'm not smoking
Oh,
it.
thank you. I'm glad you liked
Emily
it.
really wants to try it, so I'm gonna bring the rest to her.
Good. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. I gave you the one that I thought was more towards your profile that you normally.
Yeah, for sure. And I like Storm Shadow, and I liked that sugar cone too before. So I mean, for sure. And I like the consistency too. I love it's easy for me to deal with.
I did too. It was a very nice consistency. I was very happy with that. Shout out for Grole.
Shut up for Growly.
That was definitely the standout to me. I mean, the Bubba cookies took me out like no other, but the Storm Shadow, Sugar Shadow, whatever we called it,
Shadow.
it's
Shadow
just such a
sugar.
sweet, like bakery pastry sweet smell to it. You know what I mean? It is really it's so pronounced, unlike really any terp profile I've had. Like there's a lot of similar ones, but that was a little bit more unique, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely all of the ones that you put together and mixed. It honestly, they worked so well together. I was, I wasn't sure how it would all fit, and they all work well, very well. The Cowboy Cherry is my favorite, and it's so freaking great to me. And like I said, I didn't think I'd like that one. And
Who would have thought, huh?
who would have thought? Because that's just not me at all. But I love it. It's just both of them together is what it is. It's the combination of them together is just. So I'm very thankful for it. It's really, really good. Cowboy Yeti is great too. I love the taste of the Cowboy Yeti. It's great by itself. I'm excited to see what that does washed, because I don't know, this consistency on how it turned out. It wasn't my favorite, so I don't know if it's so weird when you're touching it. It's very greasy almost, and I don't want to say waxy, but it's got a feel to it. I don't know, and so I don't know how it will do.
So it's oily. It might be a BHO, or it might be good for BHO.
Yeah, which is what we did. So I don't know. Who knows what it's good for? It's not the best yielder, so we'll see.
That was another cool thing for us, for me and Baked, to vend, was to see what was popular. Like, what did people pick up? What did people pass by? What were people interested in? And
I mean, what better feedback than instantaneous, practically from direct to to your customers? It's unlike many industries, but certainly unlike really anything else in the cannabis industry, because we have the separation of not only dispensaries but often processors from our growers, right? And you go through this whole chain to the point you get to the customer, and the people that are selling it to the customer have no fucking clue anything about it, so that's why, for how many years have we been saying on YouTube, if you're going to buy seeds, buy them directly from the breeder at one of these events, because you're going to get such direct information about it.
Bubble hash. Oof. The smell on that, oh my lord, wowie.
Did you hit any of that? I've never tried any of that.
I've got mine's upstairs. It's got the lid off, drying some more. So
okay, I'm curious to know how it is topping a bowl with it.
I meant to break it out. Yeah, the jar that was sitting in the display got a little re-moistened that night, so I advised Tara to make sure she keeps it open. And
yeah, I can't wait to get into that. That's
it was interesting for me too, for have people pick up and smell the same thing, just different people, and have wildly different experiences.
So what did you guys find? What was the
Spartan Puke was very popular.
Okay.
That was one of the ones where that was very, some people would say they smelled berries, and some people would say citrus, and some people would say you know, just different things. So it was really curious for me to hear that. And then the Papa Burger, both house blend and select,
I was
back
gonna
and forth.
say, was it the house blend? Because I think that was the one that got me.
Yeah, both of those
I
are
was
were
between
pretty good.
both of them. I was like, I loved both.
And then I think
The Baja Bomb,
the
I love
Nafish
that.
probably after that. The triple burger was up there. Was up there with Spartan Puke and the Papa Burger.
It's
Triple
a
burger.
similar kind of funk, so I could see why it might get like, you know, overlooked versus the other ones. But I'm surprised about that Nafish because I did not. That was like I don't know, my not to knock it, but it was probably my least favorite of all of them. It just wasn't for
The
me.
Nafish was one of my favorite highs of all of them. It was
Okay,
because
see that I didn't get to experience, so maybe maybe that changed my
Like,
mind.
on that one, the taste wasn't really there, but the high was there. I agree.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The high
Exactly.
really like snuck up on you and whammied you here like 20 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. It took a while to hit you, but when it did, it was long lasting. That's what was impressive to me.
That was good about it. I really like that.
Yeah.
The Bahama Mama was great.
Bahama Mama was such a beautiful plant too.
Yeah,
That one
it's
really
a
tripled up.
gorgeous plant. I know that. But what is it? Miami Mommy? Or
Mommy,
Miami?
yeah.
That was good too.
Miami Mommy. I don't think that didn't really get a lot of attention, so we probably won't continue with that one.
It was good though.
It was good. It was berries. It all depends on terp profile, and surprisingly, the people of Michigan, or at least the people at this event, are looking for the typical Michigan terp profile, and that's the funky stuff.
One of the easiest way. Well, I don't know if it's the easiest. My favorite way of figuring out what I need to call next is letting the market decide, because if it's the last, honestly, the last I don't know, 8, 10, 12 events that I've done, I'll take less of specifically lemon dozy dough because it's the one that goes home with us the most. It's the one that's last on the shelf. It's the one that is always last picked.
That's surprising to me.
That is so surprising to me because whenever I take that to people and gift them it, they love that one. So that's very surprising.
Now, a couple of things could be going on here.
Do you produce a lot of it? Is it a very voluminous producer? Because I know my Super Lemon Haze was.
I would say we do produce a lot of it, but no more of it than we do other of the
Okay.
One of the things that we don't lead off with it when somebody walks up to our table, it's not one of the first ones we go, here, smell this. We'll generally lead off with something like GMO, strawberries and cream, or Rainbow Drive, or something with a little bit more of an allure to it. Subjectively, because that lemon dozido would itself allure somebody who really likes lemon. Sometimes I do lead off with lemon dozido, but I'd say it's 1 out of 50, right? Whereas mostly we'll lead off with like strawberries and cream or something like that. Terry's got some lemon dozido.
Some people love it.
Some people love it, and like I'm saying, like it's not always the one that. Now, the other thing was I don't know if anybody went home with any flow this weekend. We may still have the same amount of flow. Maybe one. No. A couple people got some flow. A couple people added some flow to their collection, but it wasn't like anything compared to any of the other varieties.
Honestly, I feel like flow doesn't get the attention it deserves. If they would smoke it, that would change their mind.
Flow is the IYKYK. Flow and Granddaddy Purple can sometimes allure some people, but Flow's definitely and like Death Star's the other one. It's like if you know, and they get it. And it's usually those heads that are looking for that old throwback fragrance, because a lot of newer heads are really into like the fruits and the gas, and like it's hard to tell if when someone says, do you have gas, if they're asking for quality, potency, or actual flavor. So it's just kind of like that I think I might be tangenting here for a second, but like that one's a complicated one for me because we have flavors that are actually gas. You know what I mean? Like when you get into like the OG realm, the Kush, the Afghan, that flow has that. There's a little bit. The GDP has the Granddaddy Purple that we run has that petrol. Smells like you're standing at a gas station. It actually smells like petroleum, like unleaded gasoline, with like a hint of berries or you know like you're making grapes at the gas pump. But like, where am I going with this, guys? Where are we going? I just hit this bowl. I'm like, okay. Anyways, but
We were talking about variety of what you have.
Lemon Dozy being the last one on the shelf, but a couple of things could be going, and it could be the way that we lead off and the way that we market and promote our strains by us as well. So I'm almost curious as if we promoted more of it, if it would move more. Same with the flow. I didn't really lead off with flow. Generally, flow is not the loudest one on the shelf, and that's why I don't lead off with it. I like to lead off with what's loud, what we can, you got to capture their attention right away. It's like, what is it? It's like the reels. You got to like capture that first 2 seconds of their attention.
Have you heard about this lime skunk? It's so loud. It's so chirpy.
I agree. It's very good. We recommended that several times over the week. But what we found to be the most successful for us is just to be like, we already knew we're going to sacrifice a gram of each one of these varieties.
Yep.
They're going to sit on this fucking table, and the warmer it gets, that's just better for us. That's just better for us if it gets warm. It never really did get warm, but if it did, it's just better for us because that's just sealing those terps until the next person opens up that thing and gets punched in the face. And then we just dabbed out of it too. So, we captured at least some of the THC back.
That's the way to do it, man. We've always done that. We've always had a whole lineup of sample jars out front, and you just have to know that you're going to sacrifice a gram, 2 grams, whatever it is, sometimes 3 grams. And at the end of the day, you either dab them yourself or you give them away, letting people know, 100 noses have been in this today, but here's some free dabs,
And that was what, we would say, go ahead and open them up and, take a smell, take a look at them if you want to. You don't get that option in the stores.
No.
Same thing with cannabis. Same thing with a lot of the other products. You're buying something prepackaged, and it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate. That's the part I don't like, but there's not much you can do about it sometimes.
There's progress. We're making progress. We still have lots of life to live. I still hold hope that there'll be someday where you'll be able to walk the market with no worries about anything. And
recreational in Ohio is getting ready any day. They're saying, honestly, by the end of June, the license should be up and going for some of the stores and ready to service people. So
cool.
Honestly,
do they already have grows going?
Yeah, gosh,
Okay.
yeah, things are ready. People are ready. They're just waiting on the go-to from the government and that, the higher ups to people. I know they were showing some grows, or not grows, but some dispos in the Cincinnati area. Their signage is, any day we're waiting, will be a recreational dispensary once, the licenses are in place, and people have been coming up daily looking to see, is it there, is it ready?
Wow, you got a lot of competition here north. We're moving more weed than Cali, so you gotta.
Yeah, another thing with Ohio is everything has to be prepackaged. Nothing is allowed to go to the dispensaries unless it is prepackaged. So you can't.
Wow.
I was muted, guys.
The reason for that, and I guess I understand it slightly. If you believe in testing, then it can be tested, and then it's sealed, right? And supposedly it's going to stay fresh and everything like that, and not be able to be tampered with, anything added to, things like that. anywhere else in the chain. So it's kind of like a safety thing for the consumer, I think. And it's not.
But you and I both know that when you package, things happen even after testing that can contaminate that bud that is being sealed in those packaging materials, whatever it might be that they've got it in. Obviously I'd feel better if it was in a glass container kind of situation, but I don't feel like it's a lot of that. I feel it's the, manila kind or whatever you call those.
Well, the problem with the glass is something that you might not think about, and something I didn't think about until I was told by my boss. And they looked into the glass, but the glass just physically takes up so much room.
I know.
So much space to hold the packaging, whereas
it's merchandising.
Whereas that other packaging, that Mylar stuff that you see, it's collapsible and you can fit a whole hell of a lot more in a box. It doesn't take up a ton of room.
That's why they'd rather see concentrates not in jars, because it just takes up 2 to 3 times as much space when it's in a box, rather, not in a jar. It has to be in a jar. But if you got a box around that jar, that's great for branding, marketing, and everything else, even just labeling. But if you can just somehow manage to get a jar, guess what? You probably just want some shelf space,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So hopefully things are moving along in Ohio and progressing in the right direction, hopefully.
Hey, getting more free. I like it.
You said they got a lot of competition from Michigan, but I think that also means that Michigan is going to lose some customers from Indiana. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Well, those further south Indiana boys, they don't like driving all the way up here. Come on.
So this is
on the price, man. You got a new market that prices aren't going to compete with others.
Ohio pricing. I don't know what's going to happen once it goes rec, but right now the pricing is disgusting, just terrible.
Yeah.
And let me say this: it's not terrible if it's for real. If it's legit. Flour, concentrates, that kind of thing. If it's a legit stuff, I have no problem paying top dollar. But if it's like hokey, not good.
But compare like to like. So dispo weed in Ohio prices to dispo weed in Michigan prices. How close are they?
Not even close.
See that's
not even close.
That's why it's not. It's going to eventually catch up for sure, but there's still going to be a while. There's still going to be
wrong. I'm still 100% promoting caregivers first and foremost.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's one thing that didn't really change in Ohio. So when it went legal, we didn't gain a caregiver system at all. So it's still in place that a caregiver can just go to a dispo and buy for you. There's not a caregiver system in place, which is really what I was hoping for too, along with being able to grow at home. But you can't get everything at once, so hopefully maybe down the line, maybe this will come into play. But for now,
I'm gonna go ahead and bet on no, because that's one of the things about Michigan that a lot of states can't compete with, is the fact that we've kind of ratified, I don't know if that's the correct word, but we've I don't know what the term is, but
voter initiative.
We
as the people put it onto the ballot directly and circumvented government.
Yeah, right. So it's going to take like a majority or some sort of supermajority to overturn our program. Yeah, and so this medical marijuana program that we have in Michigan is here to stay, hopefully for a long time. But it certainly has a little bit more security than these other states. But look at how aggressively they fought to lobby and fight against it, and minimize it and slander it, and all these other things, and regulate against it at the municipal level, quite frankly. But they can't do it at the state level, and so that's kind of the beauty of it, I guess. But that'd be my concern with something like Ohio that doesn't have it and now has something like rec. That's going to be, good luck. It's going to be an uphill battle.
I don't know at this point how it's going to go. I'm so like, I don't know. It's
It'd be
still
nice to get
very,
some caregiver groups going, so they could represent the caregivers.
it really
like
would be, you know, and
Michigan Weedsters, just like a chapter down there.
yeah,
Yeah,
And
there's an idea.
yeah.
they're open to that idea. They honestly are. I've been talking to them behind the scenes, and they're definitely open to that idea of opening different chapters of the Michigan Weedsters. They're
Well,
actually
I need to talk to
soon,
them.
they're soon to announce starting to accept memberships or whatever for $4.20 a year, which is like
Okay.
nothing, right?
That's awesome.
But that gives them the ability to continue to do the things that they do. So they're kind of for for the caregivers here in Michigan, for the patients here in Michigan. They're for the legitimate businesses here in Michigan too. They don't discriminate. But I know I had the pleasure to speak with them at this event, during the educational panel, and I know I count Latrish and Amy now as friends because I've seen them multiple times and at all these events, and it's good to see them all the time. So I'll be giving them my $4.20 when they are ready to launch that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
And Ryan Bringold. In fact, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
try to get
definitely
them
feel
on.
like Ohio's community is not like anything that I've experienced in Michigan's community, and it's still very. I mean, it's just so new, and everybody is still so secretive still because I think they're so unsure still about what they're able to do and not do, and it's gonna
Yeah, you have to find like a meeting point, like
it's gonna take time.
with a grocery store or something like that, hold an event, and then you can start building a community.
I know I've seen some events that have been trying to be held. I honestly haven't been able to attend any of them just because of time. It hasn't correlated enough, but I need to.
Are they like medical events?
Hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the community I'd be trying to mingle with and see who the players are, and maybe start to begin, maybe make a community or make a group or
Tara, read the private chat.
What is it?
Ooh,
Don't say it out loud. Just read the private chat.
tantalizing stuff.
Hold on, I gotta look. I'm like private chat.
Yeah, we have a private chat. If you didn't know, you should look at it. And,
Late Sesh
go ahead and
private
scoop
chat.
that, however you can, and start it with that.
Okay. Gotcha.
I could definitely get you the connection right to Amy or Latrish.
Yeah. Amy started following me this weekend. How about them apples? I go, hey, Amy. I was talking to her for a little bit. I'm like, hey, not to be weird, I might have been stalking you, but you have exactly 420 posts on your Instagram. And she starts laughing. She's like, I'm not going to be able to post again. Like, you're just going to have to delete one for every time you post now. I'm holding you to it.
I definitely, that's something that I'm very, I got in this for the medical purpose of this and wanting to help people. I'm not just in this to, make a dollar or anything like that, but I'm definitely going to look into this because soon to be going back to Cincinnati. I got lured back there to a facility and called King City Gardens, who's up and coming in the tri-state area down in Cincinnati. So I'm super excited to be starting there soon.
That's
definitely.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm super stoked.
Right?
They've been open for about a year and a half and been medical, and so they're really excited to be, having the opportunity to get on the recreational side of it also. Lots of rooms, lots of flower, lots of expansion, lots going on.
I was going to say it's got to be expansion if they're getting in a wreck, but can you tell us about what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so I'll be doing veg, which I'm super excited about. That's been like my little thing that I got when working at Freedom Green. That was like I really loved working in veg. That was like my little niche. I feel like I like working with the moms, the babies, cloning. I got to do tissue culturing.
Oh, so it's all of that stuff. It's not just, it's not like just one stage of it or something.
Exactly. You get to do all of it, and that's the thing. I love just the plant itself. I love all of the concepts of it. But I feel like in veg, you're just able to, help sustain the life, create it, continue it. A lot goes on that needs to go on in veg. You have to really worry about your plant health there. because that's
Did you
where it's
notice? Did you notice what kind of lights they're using in their bedrooms there, Tara?
I don't. That was one of the thing. I don't know what I didn't get that part. I saw some of the lights, but I didn't get names on them or anything like that.
Okay.
So there was so much
Yeah.
to look at, and remember. And I worked a day down there with them already, picking leaves with them. It was a great day. Just one of the guys was like talking to me, and he was like, "You like know stuff." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "You like you know stuff." And he was like, "There's people here that just don't know anything at all." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Yes, I have a little bit of
Welcome to 98% of the industry. I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
Wow.
knowledge." I was like, "But there's lots more to learn." And he was like,
Yeah,
"Wow."
that's what sets you apart, though, Tara. Is like even just that mentality is going to set you apart from most of them. And the fact that you're this natural, like we've already talked about, dead mother, I think putting you in veg and that's the raising of life, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and like guiding it
My
through
thing.
into perfect health so that it can go into flower and provide them what they need. I just talked to someone recently who has like I don't know, let's call it a 50 light room. They pulled something like 35 pounds off this room, and it's, for anyone that's not great results, and he's like, I gotta, next run's got to be 100 pounds, or like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing if you're not pulling 2 pounds of light?
HPS or something like 600 watt.
I think it was, well, that's why I brought it up. It was an issue of having stressed plants going into flower and just needing to get stuff into flower, but if you don't have that, not perfect, but near perfect health, like just those luscious, healthy green leaves, a full plant of that going into flower, like you're just asking for a reduction in something, whether that be volume, general health, trichome production, like pest resistance, like any of these things. You got to start with a healthy plant. So doing that in veg, and I know this, trust me, from experience, doing that in veg and having that sustain there and having a healthy plant going into flowers,
Yeah, I mean,
ultimately probably one of the most important
so
parts of the
fucked up
entire
in
row.
veg, it's just, it can go to hell in a handbag. So yeah, I feel really strongly about veg and all of the taking care of the moms. I mean, that's super important, and cloning, and yeah, definitely looking forward to. I might have bitten off a little too much. We'll see. But I'm up for a challenge always. And yeah, so far everybody I met there has been super great and helpful and knowledgeable, and
Keep notes. That's all I can say is just take
yeah,
a lot of them.
yeah, notes are definitely important. But yeah, I'm super excited. They've got a lot of plants in there, and I can't wait to see it all come to fruit.
Literally.
Literally.
What kind of media and stuff are you working with? How many strains are you working with? Like
Cocoa in the bag,
Okay.
already pre-mixed bags. Strains. Now that is quite a few.
Are they bringing in clones and stuff like that? Or are you gonna have to deal with any sort of like
I know they did in the beginning, because that's the connection between us was my old director hooked them up with clones. So I know that they brought a lot of clones in, but then there's been a lot from seed too. But yeah, everything I've seen so far is really nice, smells great. I'm really excited to smoke some, see how it is. So I'm looking forward to it.
This is exciting anyway, just to be doing something you love, right? I mean,
Yeah, and that's I left Ohio because things weren't legal, and I needed to learn more. Ultimately, when I started my journey through this is, once I, had certain strains that I had been able to smoke, I knew what kind of flower that I needed for me. And to be able to obtain that, I knew that I had to get to a greater place to get. I don't want to say that I don't want the mids, but I'm at this point, I'm spoiled.
It's okay to say that. I think it's
I'm
totally okay to say that.
spoiled, at this point. And I'm not saying I need 30% THC weed. Please do not ever think that I am talking about 30% THC weed. I'm talking about
You're about dank weed is what you're fucking
I
talking
need
about.
That
great
loud.
loved weed, cannabis that someone has, put the time and energy in to make it great and not just been like, this is what I'm doing, so I'm going to give it a little this, give it a little that, and just be, okay. Nah, I don't want that. I need the extra because I give the extra, so I want the extra back.
And you'll be able to be seen like when the new things come out or whatever, as the industry matures, you'll be able to see all the new products and new things.
Yeah.
You don't have to invest in any of that stuff. You can see at work if it works or not, and then decide if you want to mess with
Good
it.
point.
That's one thing I always loved about it.
I'm secretly channeling Miss Nudie Grows. She's my idol. That's my girl.
Genevieve is a sweetheart.
I
She's
love
so
Genevieve
awesome.
so much, and like that's where I'm. That's what I want to be. That's
It's funny you say that. When I was in Toronto, and we were at the Grow Up conference, we were at the booth. To like the left of me was a Stewart Farms booth, and they had all the bath bombs and all that stuff. And I took a picture of it. And I sent it to her on day one. It was like before we even had day one. It was the setup day when they were setting up the booth. I took a picture and I sent it to her. And I said, I can't remember what I said, something about hope I get to see you or something like that. It's just like, of course, the one time I'm not there, you'd be there. But I thought that was funny.
She's awesome.
She is. She's fucking awesome as hell.
She really is.
I met her on the Cheap Home Grow show before. She used to do Hydro Hustlers. That show. That was so cool.
Yeah, she's definitely a lady I look up to. So yeah, that's what's cooking in my end of my corner and what I'm getting ready to start doing. And
how soon is that going to happen? Do you know?
I'm starting next Monday.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I start full time there Monday, and we've got genetics going. We're getting ready to go into flower. We've got GG4 going into flower. We've got Motor Breath going into flower. So we've got
some nice strains, some good ones.
Yeah, so new stuff, and I decided
regular day shift.
I decided to keep Cherry Paloma.
Is it a regular day shift?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, 9 to 5:45. So,
did you ask it? Did they? Are you allowed to bring any genetics in, or did they say?
I didn't ask anything like that yet. I don't know, because
tell them your buddy's got some $30,000 cuts if they're interested.
Considering that we know.
Literally, my head went to the same place, dude.
I'm sorry, Ohio, but your prices are high for a reason. It's not me, but I might take advantage.
Hunt right now. I wonder what they could bring in.
This cup-winning cannabis strain called Clementine. Everybody wants. I get DM for weekly. Hey, you guys want it? How deep is your pocketbook?
Yeah,
we got bills to pay.
So, yeah, I haven't gotten that far to ask that kind of stuff yet. There was a lot to take in. It's a really, really big place. I was, when I was at Freedom Green, that was huge to me. One, I'd never been in a facility before, so I had no idea what I was looking at. But I've since been to a few facilities, and I've witnessed that. But this is massive.
Do they have greenhouses, or is it all indoor?
Yeah, it's all indoor. Yeah.
How many lights are we talking?
A lot.
Like over 500?
Are they LED lights?
Yes, they are LED.
Well, at least they're smart.
Yep, they are LED.
Oh wow! What are you saying?
I'm saying it's smart as LED lights.
Listen here, we're not all using LEDs. Okay.
8 flowering rooms.
I'm just saying it's smart as a business to have LED lights because you can generally get them close to free.
Yeah, it's 8 flowering rooms, 2-tiered. 17 rows per room. There's a lot of lights.
Awesome. So we'll have to talk once our predators get here. They're going to be on the way here soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Those are the bug lights. Those will keep your place squeaky clean.
All right. but yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I'm happy to be going back home closer, to family. I've missed being around my kids since my daughter just moved home from Iowa. Now I got both my kids close, and yeah, I mean, like I said, the only reason why I left is because shit wasn't legal, and now it's legal, and I'm ready to fuck it up.
Nice. Hell yeah. Congrats.
That's gotta feel so good being your home state, being able to
Yeah.
fuck it up. You get that feeling that I'm on right at the ground floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, and they're going to have a lot to work through too. They've got a lot. It's a new company. They've only been open a year and a half. They're just starting out, and this is a brand new thing with Ohio and their laws. So they got a ways to go too. So not looking for it to be the easy road.
No, but that's okay. It's more satisfying. It's more satisfying to go the hard road sometimes.
Yeah. I'm used to that road, so that's okay.
Yeah, there you go.
You guys want to see a cool quick shot from Mendo Dope?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Light show. Just a little overhead view.
Oh yeah, I see now. Took me a minute for my mind to orient.
I know everything's so dark. I feel like they could have used a little like crowd lighting with something out there, but it was pretty awesome.
Last year they had one that was shooting lasers from that middle pavilion too, or something too. I thought, wow, that was high, dude. That's a lot higher than I thought that was.
That was probably like 100 to 120 feet. It wasn't that high.
That's fucking cool.
It doesn't look like it, but those lasers were shining on the trees and shit all behind in the back of the field. They're only showing it on the smoke cloud that the smoke projects.
Yeah, that wasn't like a night mode or anything like that, so it's not really picking up as much as you're seeing in person for sure. And I did see a couple clips I caught of that back kind of forest line, which, guys, was probably about 800 feet away, maybe something like that, maybe close to 1,000 feet. And the laser light show that was happening on those trees 1,000 feet away was just as cool as what was happening 2 feet above your head with the smoke show. It was amazing.
Yeah, because you definitely need the smoke show to see like the designs and whatnot in the laser beams, which would be like, if I'd say with like maybe 10 feet above us, 8 to 10 feet above us, you could probably stand there and reach up.
Yeah, I couldn't stand there and touch it, but it was probably close to 10 feet. I'm sure there's a limit to what they're like. There's got to be some sort of policy or guidelines that it might not even be a regulatory thing. It might be some sort of like association type deal that, you just, you commit yourself to, like we did previous to regulations with cannabis, right? It was like, no, my goal is to hit 200 ppms or lower of residual solvents, even though there's no regulation whatsoever. And then they brought in certain regulations. We're still lower than that, right? Like, I'm sure this guy is taking steps to make sure he's not blinding anyone. And I'm sure in mass they're doing that because as a business owner that you don't want to be poisoning people. You don't want to be making people sick. You don't want to be rooting people's eyesight, right? And I have a story for you about this specific event regarding just that. So while I'm taking some of this footage, all of a sudden out of the corner of my eye, I see a green laser like kind of outside of the crowd getting pointed up at the drone. And I'm like, oh, sweet. Someone's messing with it. So I'm like, kind of just deal with it for a second, it goes away. All right, cool. Now I'm kind of like looking and I'm like watching that area from where I saw it out of the corner of my eye. And all of a sudden I see the green laser again. And I'll be honest, like I've recently watched some videos on YouTube of people pointing lasers at police helicopters. And then the police helicopters like easily with a crazy amount of technology that is on there, determining exactly where these people are coming from and just sending ground units and arresting these people because you can't do that, right? Well, it's the same laws don't apply to just someone's recreational drone that's flying 15 feet in the air, right? I don't think it's necessarily the coolest or wisest move to do that. I wouldn't shine it in someone's eyes. I wouldn't shine it in someone's camera phone. I wouldn't shine it really at any direction of something I wouldn't want to potentially damage, I guess. But in any case, sure enough, out of the corner of my eye, I see it again. And so I go walk over to this group of people standing there. I'm like, hey guys, don't know who's shining the green laser, but not cool. Just please stop. And one of the guys is like, what? Music's loud. He's like, what? What'd you say? I'm like, someone's shining a green laser at the drone. Just, I don't know who it is. Please stop. He's like, I don't know what that means, man. And I'm like, all right, it's definitely not you. Like, you're at a different level enjoying the music. Cool. All right. So I'll just go back to what I'm doing, So I go back to what I'm doing. And sure enough, I don't know, a couple minutes later, and I've only gone through some of the footage, so I don't know if I'll be able to see it or not. But sure enough, a couple moments later, this green laser gets pointed at the drone again. They're just messing with it, I don't think they're trying to intentionally damage it or anything. But for sure, one of those lasers could very immediately disrupt or destroy a camera lens or the optics on a camera, whether it's like a drone camera, a DSLR camera, or even like the camera on your phone, right? So that was part of the plan, was to not fly into the lasers of this laser light show, because I know that could happen. But yet, lo and behold, this guy over here is shining this laser. I see it for like a third or fourth time. I'm like, all right, I see who's doing it now. I'll go say something. So I walk over to the guy and I walk right up to it. I'm like, hey man, I know you get shining the green laser at the drone. I just really appreciate it if you didn't do that. And he kind of realized he was caught. He's like, sorry, man. That's probably not cool. I'm sorry I did that. Like, I'll quit doing that. And I'm like, I appreciate it, man. Like, that's all I ask, He's like, could that actually damage it? I'm like, yeah, it could be, a $1,500 mistake really quickly, It's like, all right. So, I go back to my business. He goes back to his. There was no more problems. Didn't see the laser at all again, right? That was that. Today, I posted a couple, quick photos of Men No Dope on stage, with the lasers and stuff from above, and tagged Michigan Gems and Genetics in it. And the guy that runs that laser light show actually DM'd me, and he's like, oh, that's sweet. Is that drone shots? Would love if you could send me anything you got. And we get to talking, and I kind of tell him a Spark Notes version of the story I just told you. And he goes, no shit, man. He's like, I definitely respect the FAA regulations, and I'm always very cognizant of where they're getting pointed at, and make sure I'm not disrupting aircraft or anything like that. He goes, but some guy actually walked up to me during the show and handed me a green laser. He's like, I didn't know why. He just gave it to me, but he's like, I'm wondering if that's the guy that was shining the laser at your drone.
Wow,
I'm
dude.
like, I wonder if he kind of turned himself in a way,
He's like, he didn't trust himself. He's like, fuck
Yeah,
this. I'm gonna do it this way.
I was like, all right, I kind of respect that, you know what I mean? But it was I don't know, it was fun. It was a lot of fun seeing that laser light show, and it immediately made me want to go hook up laser lights in my backyard. I don't know at what cost, probably more than it's worth, but
well, the neighbors would be a big cost. The neighbors are probably not.
They might come over and cook some with us.
Like, we got a UFO sighting over here.
Actually, that's a good point.
You probably could, 4 of those boxes. You probably could get away with just getting a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, I probably only need one really to have some fun.
One would work, but you wouldn't be able to get the grids right.
Yeah, the 3D effect. And yeah, it's true. That's true, because we were seeing this layers of clouds, right? It was really a cool effect from under it. Cool. And like I said, that, or like you guys said, that video really doesn't do it justice. But being under it and seeing what felt like the sky in a normal size, the perspective of it was the clouds are normal size, but it was just so much closer to you,
Yeah. Cool. But and they were moving a lot faster too, a swirling.
Yeah. Yeah, Earth was moving at 2 hours a day instead of 24.
Super cool. Then they did the Pink Floyd one last year. It was really cool. And I got a shout out for all the deadheads. High Rider didn't post a set list on their Instagram or anything. I was kind of hoping they would, because I've really been racking my brain on this fucking set list, man. I was trying to close up shop for the first half of the show. They did 2 sets, 2 hour-long sets. The second set actually went probably more 3 hours. or I mean 2 hours, and where they had like 3 closer songs. They did a very traditionally well covered Grateful Dead concert. In the spirit of the Grateful Dead, you get some cover songs, you get some Grateful Dead songs, you get some, you get a little Jerry, a little Bobby, a little Jerry, a little Bobby. They'll kind of beat back and forth. You might get a Pigpen song in there, and then you get some more covers, of course. They're like noted to be like the world's greatest cover band. And so I kind of comprise my remembering. I was listening to Grateful Dead most of all the time anyway, so it's kind of tough to figure out what it was. But I know for sure, because like a moth to the flame, I took Ruben and we went running over there once they kicked off with Let It Rock, an old Jerry Garcia band song. They didn't even kick it off with the Grateful Dead song, but the old Let It Rock. And they went from Let It Rock, which is a nice upbeat, quick grooving song. They kind of down the tempo a little bit. It was a hard transition into Jimmy Rowe, Row Jimmy Rowe, and I missed a couple there through the cleanup. I'm not sure what they might have played, but I remember a Dupree Diamonds in there somewhere, possibly a Wharf Rat. And I think they even went or Wharf Rat maybe into Eyes of the World. I think it was Eyes of the World, maybe into Franklin's Tower, or Wharf Rat into Franklin's Tower, something like that. It was pretty good. They gave us the drums in space. It was kind of cool. They even did a little band jam out of the drums in space. Learning this weekend that Fagroli is in fact a drummer, or at least
No. I have a history of it. I am in fact not a drummer.
Sorry, not a drummer.
I'm a poorly skilled percussionist at that.
Is
Percussionist.
a fan of percussion. Sorry, there. Let me go like that. Not a drummer, but a fan of percussion. And
I didn't think I got all those dad time bells.
I think might have found interest in the drums in space bit. They threw a little electronic drums in space, and so that was kind of cool. It gave us a little Dark Star. They might have had Dark Star in the first set, and then maybe finished Dark Star in the second set. I'm not sure. I feel like I heard a little bit of Dark Star in the first set, and then maybe not. But anyway, they gave us the old Brent version of Dear Mr. Fantasy. And as we all know, Dear Mr. Fantasy is a Steve Winwood song. And of course, the Grateful Dead being in their favorite cover band stage, they gave us the Dear Mr. Fantasy. And Brent Midland, unfortunately, was only with the Dead for a decade, the 80s version. My favorite era of the Grateful Dead being within the Brent Midland years. Call it today Midland Monday. Cheers to Brent heads out there. But he did the Fade Dear Mr. Fantasy cover, and so did the High Rider, and it was great, man. Came out of that. Becca and I ran to the loo real fast to catch some scariness in the Porta Johns at dark. You know how that goes.
Did you skip the loo?
I skipped to the loo, my darling. During as we came out the old Brent and do Viola Blues. I love me old Viola Blues. And it's an old classic, psychedelic sounding, kind of like China Cat Sunflower type song. And then they kind of faded out into some encores of their version of Dancing in the Street, which is, to be honest, my least favorite Grateful Dead song. I don't know. I like maybe because I'm a Motown fan and I just like the old original Motown version of Dancing in the Street. I think that's what it is. And they drop the beat and the tempo down really, really slow and make it really funky, which I do like. The sound of their version of Dancing in the Street, the Grateful Dead.
Just choose a different song, though,
Yeah, so for me, I'm like, kind of torn between the worlds of Motown and the Grateful Deadhead. But, anyways, they finished out with some Sisters and Brothers, which, again, back to the Jerry Garcia band catalog. And
before we move too far past that, Red, what about the David Bowie and who was it that did the other part of that song, Dance in the Street?
Are you talking about
Mick Jagger, David Bowie version? That's the best one.
Is that the one without audio?
No, I think there's audio. I'm
Let's
pretty
see.
sure I can probably pull that up on YouTube.
Maybe that was during the Rolling Stones. What was it? The traveling. They did something. The something circus. Fuck, dude, that was actually solid, man. The Dirty Mac played during that. I can't think what that was called. The something circus. In the traveling circus with the Third Eye Craft Affair.
Right.
Yeah.
Real quick though, what was the song that they played that you explained to me the
I
history
didn't
of?
even write that one down. Oh yeah, that was, and then the other one. So small rabbit hole. I prepared this story to tell tonight, so I have to. So in the Grateful Dead genre, in the fantasy world, well, this is real world actually. So in the song The Other World, the song The Other One tells the story of kind of how the Grateful Dead became the house band for, let's say, the counterculture, the 60s acid rock movement in Haight Ashbury, potentially CIA driven MK Ultra movement, that whole thing where, you know, however many thousands of people were dosed against their knowledge by the CIA was going on at some of these acid test parties. Through a lot of it being dosed and moved around through a group called the Merry Pranksters, and the bus that was driven around, the Further bus, led driver at hand Neil Cassidy and comrades who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Oh man, it was in my knowledge earlier, and I was telling Fergal about the other night. It'll come to me here, anyways. The song, The Other One, takes you to a Beatles concert where Bob Weir's clearly under the influence of something, we're causing everybody to see visions of people spinning round and round as the lyrics go in the first. But in the parking lot of the Beatles concert, I believe it was after the show, the Further bus shows up, and lo and behold, there's Neil Cassidy, and so Jack Kerouac wrote this book On the Road, and On the Road was basically about the life of Neil Cassidy and the name is totally slipping my mind right now, but anyways, Bob Weir jumps on the bus, so the phrase "get on the bus" kind of becomes apparent in this notion. This bus pulls up. It's a psychedelic bus, and the Merry Pranksters, and it's kind of led in somewhere in the outer reaches. Timothy Leary's further. So the story of Further is they traveled from the West Coast to go to the East Coast to go see, I don't know if it was a concert or some shit, and they ended up talking to Leary, and one or the other, they gave acid to Leary, or Leary gave acid to them, and something happened, and somehow there's a connection that got made. They brought the shit back to the West Coast. Another connections got made. They get connections up in the West Coast. Dot the I's. Big acid ring, regardless. Big, huge LSD ring. Leary's involved. Potentially the CIA may or may not have been involved in this. There's huge conspiracies back and forth on all of this stuff. But either way, the guy who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Jack Kerouac and all these other beatnik writers from the time were kind of involved on this, and Bob Weir kind of ends up in their group, and ends up bringing the whole band out, and ends up kind of intermingling. So the band, the Grateful Dead, it was just a little house band at the time playing shows. Bob Weir didn't meet them at his show, at their show. He meets them at a Beatles concert, right? Jumps on the bus, tells them they're in a band, however happens, they like the band. Bob Weir ends up like kind of going off with on the bus for a while, hanging out with Cassidy and those guys, and learns a lot. And they're all fans of the on the road lifestyle, this Jack Kerouac, beatnik lifestyle. And so they bring it to Ashbury. The acid tests, the movement happens, and the rest is kind of like what counterculture history. If you look into the Haight-Ashbury scene and the whole hippie movement and everything kind of breaks out there. But what ends up happening there is the acid test and potentially MK Ultra and everything, and that's the connection between the Grateful Dead and the acid test, and how that all kind of happened was the one of the front men just kind of, and at the time Bobby I think was only like 16 years old. He was the young guy of the band. Everybody else was like 19, 20 something years old. Bobby was a young dude, jumped on this bus with all these older people and ended up bringing everybody into the psychedelic realm, so the other one, yeah, it's a story of like kind of how it goes, and there's kind of, it's kind of like one of those tales to be told, if you will. It's a pretty cool song. It's one of Bob Weir's songs.
I'm glad you shared it. You were wearing the Bob Weir shirt when you shared it with me. I was like, that
that old
guy. But,
James Weaver in chat says the Grateful Dead's original manager was the son of the man who was a founder of the Tavistock Institute. Nothing to see there, folks. Just a coincidence.
And then there was that's where I was gonna get in this. So in doing so, in following Jack Kerouac and Neil Cassidy and all these guys and the Merry Pranksters and fucking Leary and all these acid heads, I think that Nick Sands and all the guys that were involved in the Orange Sunshine acid ring were involved with the Merry Pranksters at the time. And I believe that that's where obviously Augustus Stanley, the Grateful Dead soundboard manager, learned the recipe for how to cook it. And he took that and he purified it in a sense and manufactured some of the purest, best LSD that was known at the time and potentially even until today. And that's where the term white lightning and liquid lightning and the basically the crystal strain of that LSD, the purity of it was white lightning. And to today, the white fluff is in, folklore is that it's still the same recipe that Owsley Stanley used. And there's old videos of Owsley Stanley pouring bags of LSD crystal into a 50-gallon drum of like OJ or liquid or whatever the hell it is. And they're dispersing cups out to the crowd. And those early shows were psychedelically driven, and that is where the phrase acid rock comes from, and I'm sure that there was lots of reckless behavior involved, but through it came some of the most profound musical, like, let's say, like they kind of developed stereo music inventions, if you will. Owsley Stanley figured out how to turn mono into stereo live. The Grateful Dead had 2 microphones, and Owsley Stanley developed this thing called the wall of sound, which he figured out how the size of a sound wave, and then he made the speaker structure that size. So he figured the size of like whatever it was like a bass wave or whatever, it was 50 something feet. So he made the speaker tower 50 feet tall to match the sound of a wave, because he wanted it to be able to extend all the way to the back of the amphitheater. The same sound that people were hearing at the front, he wanted them to be able to hear it at the back. He wanted any fade out. He did the same with the keyboard, did the same with the vocals. So you look at this monstrosity behind the band called the Wall of Sound, and you see all these different sizes of speakers and towers and tweeters and a whole thing of echo chambers here and reverbers here and whatever the fuck you got here. And each one is actually attached to a different instrument. Each one is attached to a different effects or whatever the hell is going on. And it's all fucking analog, right? Very little digital sound going on with this stuff. Tube amps, mostly hundreds of tube amps weighing hundreds of pounds, and the rigging that had to be done with these fucking things. Like, the manpower that it would take to haul this monstrosity around not just the United States, but they took it overseas. They took this fucking thing to Europe, dude, and took it around Europe.
Seriously.
And they would fucking set this thing up. Talk about the gypsy caravan. This is why this band holds so much respect to so many people, because they fucking put in the work. And they were never hit a #1 single, dude. Not until like the late 80s. They were a band for like 30 or 40 years before they had any hits. But they sold out fucking shows, and they would have thousands of people follow them across the world. And they would just blow out fucking like cities, dude. They would cause traffic like the whole fucking city would move in, like, you know, like kind of like what happens at Burning Man would happen every time the Grateful Dead would fucking show up somewhere. An entire free market of people selling local goods and farm goods and crafts and sure drugs, whatever the fuck it is that's going on, the good, the bad, the ugly, happened on lot. And that was in the parking lot, and then the shows, and it happened all over the world. But Owsley Stanley did some really cool stuff for innovating sound, and that was notably Bear, and thus comes the cartoon catalog with the bears and the skulls and the roses and very cool artistry. And when I was younger, I thought the Grateful Dead was like a metal band. I wasn't really into that, and I kind of wish I found them younger. But my what was soon to be sister-in-law never became sister-in-law. My brother ended up splitting off and getting married to somebody else, but soon to be sister-in-law at the time, I was like 12 or 13, hands me this book, super fucking thick. I'll get it. It's the annotated lyric book of the Grateful Dead. I was into all kinds of other like music at the time, like kind of punk rock and some shit like that. And my brother was trying to like get me into classic rock, so he was like stacking me up with all these Beatles CDs, Led Zeppelin CDs, and I was into like Bone Thugs and Harmony and shit. And he was like, "Uh-oh, we need to hook him up and get him into Boston." So here I am at fucking, I'm not kidding, I'm not bullshitting.
Meet him at the crossroads, man.
When I was 20 years old, I don't know what year this is, like 2004, 2005 or something like that. I'm driving in my fucking like Ford Probe blasting Boston in like the early 2000s.
Boston's badass though.
I know it is.
I had two friends like that.
I was pretty dorky, to be honest with you. You know, cruising into high school, blasting Boston. Like, but anyways, it was that type of thing. But I never got into Grateful Dead, and I had that book for like almost a decade before I got into Grateful Dead. And I was like, oh, I have this fucking book, and it was one of those serendipitous moments. The further into the fucking rabbit hole that I got, and found how profound, you know, because I was really into the Beatles. I'm like strangely interested in music and music history, and got into DJing, and always really liked attempting to play instruments. And like I was telling for girl, I got a bunch of guitars and used to play guitar. And
We could start a band, dude. I'm just saying.
Like half musically inclined, and I
I'm
do
like 20th musically inclined, so
I basically I hold a profession in listening to music and trying to setting and use the right music for the right mood and things like that. And I find music to do a lot of things to your set and setting. Music can set and setting in so many different ways. I've learned in working in restaurants, music can change the back of the house in so many ways.
Can I ask a question before we have to cut off here about this real quick?
Oh yeah.
How important are lyrics to all of what you just said?
Not as important as the way that the lyrics are spoken. It's the intention of them.
The intention of the words themselves, or are you talking more about rhythm and tone and beat?
Rhythm and tone for the most part, because a lot of times the lyrics aren't really heard.
Not by me, but they are by a lot of people. That's why I'm asking. Yeah,
like usually by me, I don't hear a lot of lyrics until I read them. and then I hear them. But I can
Yeah.
the lyrics can kind of mean based on like the intensity of the song. I'd say that if there's intensity,
unless it's
aggressive, you know what I mean? And there's a difference in that type of heaviness, and that kind of changes mood, you know. Good.
hold on. I'm gonna read the lyrics to a song real quick.
Oh, that's a terrible.
We're gonna end on this. Yeah, no, we're gonna end on this.
Don't ever read songs you like.
No, this is not well, this won't be a song you will like after this. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, outrun my gun. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run faster than my bullet. It sounds so much better.
Is that what it says?
Yes.
Is that what it says?
Yep. I love that song.
I just
Like
I
an
gotta
Indian
say,
song,
there's,
dude. That's what
there's,
I'm saying. That's what I'm
there's certain
saying.
songs that don't fall into these rules, and that might be one of them. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night.
Great night.
Cheers,
We'll see you
everybody.
Sunday for the
The
Michigan
Late
Bullshit
Sesh.
Show.
Don't listen to the lyrics. Just bob your head.